What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome to a new video. I want to start this video off by informing everybody that if you go down to the description box, the first link in the description box is to my .com. Now, if you click that link, it'll reroute you to my coming soon page because the website has not launched yet. However, if you go to that link and you go to the coming soon page, there's a spot on that landing page where you can enter in your email address to join my monthly newsletter. You're also going to get a bunch of other perks by signing up to this newsletter. So if you're a fan of my work, if you want to stay in contact with me, if you want to get my monthly newsletter and a bunch of other awesome stuff, what you're going to want to do is head over to that link. Again, first link in the description box, click it, and then put your email address in the form. It's going to ask you to put your email address, and then you just click submit. Super simple. And that way, you guys, I can stay in contact with all of you. What I'm going to do is soon I'm going to start sending out newsletters. I already have some written. So once I get enough people signed up to the once I get enough people who have filled out the submission form, boom, once a month, you're going to get a very informative newsletter with links, just all sorts of stuff, pictures, da-da-da-da-da. So if you're a fan of my work, you're really going to want to do that. So the website should be launching by the end of January, and if not, towards the beginning of February. You guys know how stuff is. There's things are very rarely just smooth sailing. And that's the case with the website. I've run into issues, and I'm not going to rant about it, but it will launch soon. Long story short, this website is going to be a massively updated version of my old website, sacredhealingtools.com, which, again, I don't own that anymore. I lost that URL. The new .com is www.serpentsource.com. Again, www.serpentsource.com. So with that aside, you guys, today's a pretty big day. We've got the inauguration of Donald Trump that's already happened. I'm very excited to see where the next 4 years take us. I said this in a recent video, and I'm going to say it again before we continue with this video, that in my opinion, we've got one chance to get this right, guys. We've got one chance. We cannot have a repeat of the last 4 years under the Biden administration. And I know we're not going to get that under Trump, but we can never let that kind of anything happen again, you guys. The last 4 years have felt like an eternity, because it is indeed true. When things are going bad, they go slow. And when things are going good, they go real fast. So it wouldn't shock me if Trump's term feels like it's over instantly. Because again, like, things go fast when they're going good, things go slow when they're going bad. So it'll be really interesting to see how we can turn things around in the United States, because there's no reason why the economy needs to be the way that it is, and a myriad of other things of which I'm not going to rant about in this video, you guys. All I'm going to say is I'm excited. I know a lot of you are excited. So let's ride this wave and make the best out of it. 2025 is the year of transmutation. It's the year of change. It's the year of you getting to the point where you've always wanted to be. So there's no excuses anymore, you guys. There's none. We've got to stop being lazy. We've got to put in the work. We've got to get serious with our health, etc. So, man, what do you guys see happening in the next 4 years? Are you excited for the future? Do you even like Trump? I'm not a Trump purist, but I will say that compared to Biden, it's like comparing, a Ford Taurus to a Maserati. You can't even really compare the two. Man. So, another thing, you guys, I want to talk about really quickly is the importance of you familiarizing yourself with certain pieces of material, curriculum. So I give out homework on this channel. I always have. And if you want to take my message to the next level, you need to read the books that we talk about here on this channel. Some of the greatest things that you could ever read, or books that you could ever read, are the Carlos Castaneda books. You have to excuse me, guys. I'm a little stuffed up today. The Carlos Castaneda material can be life-changing, depending on your ability to adapt to it and integrate the lessons contained therein. Every once in a while, when I talk about Castaneda's work, I get someone on this channel saying that none of Castaneda's works can be taken seriously because allegedly Castaneda was a fraud, there's no Don Juan, there's no Don Genaro, etc. I've said since the beginning, guys, that I don't care. I don't care if the Castaneda books were fraudulent or just all made up. It doesn't matter to me. Because there is shamanic wisdom in those books that is invaluable, that can change your life if you start to take the lessons contained therein seriously. And what it sounds like to me is just lazy people who don't want to read, so they'll find any excuse in the book not to. They'll find any excuse in the book not to. But I can assure you that if you take the Castaneda material seriously and you start to adopt the warrior's code that Juan teaches Castaneda, guys, you can do incredible things with those books, because those books are instruction manuals. Yes, they're stories that you get to read, you envision in your head, da-da-da-da-da. But on a much deeper level, on a foundational level, these are instruction manuals on how to experience states of non-ordinary reality. That's what they are, guys. So I've taken Castaneda's material and I've integrated with it to the point where I know without a shadow of a doubt that large chunks of the material in those books is 100% truthful, because I've experienced the states of non-ordinary reality that Juan teaches Carlos about. You see where I'm going with that? This isn't rocket science. What are you talking about, Serpent? Castaneda's a fraud. It was all made up. I don't care. I don't. Because someone like myself, you guys, I pick and choose as I wish, and I utilize things that work for me. I don't care if they're truthful or not. I hope that makes sense. I don't care if something's been proven to be fraudulent. If it can benefit me, all the better. And to be honest, it's largely speculation as to whether or not Castaneda's stuff was bullshit. I have a hard time believing that a young UCLA student could have come up with that eloquent of, like, the wisdom contained in those books it's hard for me to wrap my head around the idea that a young man could have come up with all of that. I do believe that he had at least someone around him who had non-ordinary access to non-ordinary knowledge. Whether that's Juan, whether that's Genaro, whether that's, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's behind us. Castaneda's been dead for years. It's not, like, I'm not going to get into some huge debate here. All I'm going to say, guys, is that each time I read those books, I pick up not only one thing that I missed the first time that I read them, but multiple things. There is so much wisdom in those books. So do as you wish. Scoff at something just because you read online that it was fraudulent, or the Castaneda was a hack, or this, that, and the other. It doesn't matter to me, because behind the scenes, I'm deriving benefit from it. So, I mean, just the stuff on accessing inner silence is invaluable, you guys. We all need inner silence. Most of you don't have silence. Most of you have zero fucking silence, and it shows. And I'm not speaking to my subscribers. I'm speaking to the world at large, the populace. Most of you guys have no silence. In fact, you're hypnotized by the lack of silence, because the lack of silence, guys, it's all data you've got to process. Most people have so much noise in their lives that, in all honesty, quietude makes them uncomfortable. When was the last time you sat down? Again, when was the last time you sat down and tried to enter into a complete state of silence? It's damn near impossible until you practice. Practice makes perfect. This is one of the reasons why I talk so much about the thoughtlessness exercise, guys. The thoughtlessness exercise. If you sit down and try to enter into a complete state of silence, you will be inundated by noise. Appetites in your head. What do I got to do? What do I need to eat? You will be inundated by a chaotic momentum of pre-programmed thoughts, images, appetites, emotions, etc. These are the things that control you from behind the scenes. So if you want to drop the Archons' influence, if you want to get more sovereignty, if you want to clean your head out so that you can become clear again, you've got to become privy to the noise that's inundating your ability to be at peace. Or it's affecting your ability to be peaceful. Most of you don't have thoughts that are even your own. I've said for years that thoughts are largely pre-programmed foreign installations that are designed to get into your head and unpack and then dictate how your mind works. What are you talking about, Serpent? It sounds like a bunch of fear-mongering. Go ahead and live with your lack of silence. Most people will. Most people will. But you guys, the foundation, or one of the first things that you have to do if you're serious about your magic, your sorcery, your health in general, your clarity, your anxiety or lack thereof, is you've got to become aware of the momentum, the noise in your life. The noise in your life. And I'm not just talking about noise from outside of you. Guys, you have noise in your head that operates on its own volition. Thoughts that repeat themselves in your head. Emotions, etc. You've got to become clear again. Because without clarity, guys, it's very difficult to have a life of peace. Without clarity. So this is why, you guys, I suggest that everyone who's interested in my work, you at least need to read the first 3 Castaneda books. Ideally, you're going to read all of them. But as the intelligence level of the world populace lowers and lowers, and the intelligence, people don't like reading anymore, you guys. You know, I recently read something about how, cursive is dying. The writing style. And that many young adults now, they don't know how to read it, or write cursive. On top of that, I recently read something that the average American reads less than, even if they read less than 2 books a year. I mean, contrast that to 30, 40 years ago, you guys. The average intelligence used to be much higher. At least in my opinion. But these younger generations, you guys, they're not like our grandparents. They're not like us. I mean, it's like there's a weakening every time there's a new generation. So nowadays, growing up, the children, they have access to iPhones and digital shit constantly. I can't imagine growing up the way that kids grow up now. I know I recently talked about this, so I'm not going to talk about it for long, but it's just crazy. We have more information at our fingertips than we ever have before, and that can be a good thing and a bad thing, guys. Seeing 10-year-olds with iPhones, it's like, wow, that is a very, very powerful tool. They can be used for great things or for downright horrible things. You can waste a lot of time on an iPhone or any phone. You can waste a lot of time scrolling through the fucking internet. Man, our brains are just taking in so much more data than they ever have. And again, that can be a good thing, but unfortunately, it's being used as a weapon. Most people are inundated with way too much nonsense every single day. Information that does not benefit them in any way, shape, or form. So culture has been set up in a way that it really wants to dumb you down, guys. And that's why, again, if you do the research, you'll find that the intelligence level is lowering as we inchworm forward into the future. The intelligence levels, or intelligent, now I'm sounding dumb. The intelligence level of the average American, it's lowering. And lowering and lowering. And does it shock you? I mean, look at what's on the internet, you guys. Look at what's on the fucking TV nowadays. It's mind pollution. It's mind pollution. And we've learned to love the pollution. Like the average television program, you guys, that's overly sexualized, there's way too much violence, they don't teach you any moral code, etc. And what happens when you raise generation after generation on bad, violent fucking television, overly sexualized television, etc.? Well, people, that you start to see those types of behaviors acted out in the real world. So there's a reason why entertainment is the way that it is. It's by design, guys. And there's no reason that it needs to be this way. Television, entertainment, movies, the internet, all of these things could be used for massive upliftment of the species. But for some weird fucking reason here in the United States, it's just moral deprived and totally fucking backwards. And that's by design, you guys. You have to remember who we're dealing with here. All of this is by design. The vampires in charge have created the cultural narrative, and they're actually trying to steer the cultural narrative, or that's a better way of putting it, excuse me. The vampires in charge want to steer the cultural narrative into a new direction. And they tried really, really hard under Biden with all the woke nonsense. And like, again, this is YouTube, so I've got to be careful with what I say, but those of you with eyes to see, you know what I'm talking about. You know how insane these past 4 years have been. Holy shit, you guys. We cannot have another 4 years of that. We just can't. So, again, I don't want to make this one too long, but if you're interested in my work, not to be repetitive, make sure to join that mailing list, you guys, because there's stuff that I'm going to share with you through email and on my .com that I can't share here on YouTube, at least not yet. There is talk amongst some pretty some pretty legit sources, excuse me. There is some talk that there's going to be less censorship here on YouTube. And here's the thing, guys. These big tech companies, these social media platforms, they better get healthy real quick because people have had enough. People are done with the old script. And if they keep censoring everything, it's going to equate to them. Eventually, these platforms are going to die out. They're going to die out because people are going to get sick of not being able to get an honest information, right? Censorship is remarkably dangerous. It's remarkably dangerous because who, for one, is dictating the terms of the censorship? Do they have an agenda? Who is dictating the terms of the censorship? Now, I've had to remove over 100 videos from YouTube because of censorship. I wish that this platform kind of resembled what it used to, because YouTube, you guys, used to be a very, very valid library of information where you could find pretty much anything that you wanted as long as it was in, certain, obviously you can't find certain things or couldn't find certain things on YouTube, but for the most part, you guys, YouTube used to be a potent library of information. I've always used this platform as a form of education, to learn things, right? And it used to be so much different. So I see good things in our future. I do. But I mean, we're kind of behind, guys, and it's an inaccurate way of putting it. We're not just kind of behind; we're way behind. If you look at where we could have been by now, in contrast to where we are, you guys, you'll start to understand what I'm getting at when I say that we're late to the game and we're way behind. Evolution has been hindered. Our evolution as a species has been thwarted. It's been it's been dammed up. And that's part of the control system here, you guys, this matrix that we live in. What it attempts to do and what it has done is thwart your proper development, your evolution, right? Because I can assure you, if you knew what we were designed to be, and you experienced that, and then you looked at where we are, you'll realize it's like we're still in kindergarten, guys. We are still in kindergarten. What God has in store for us if we get our heads out of our asses and onto our shoulders would make the average person weep, because it's that beautiful. But we live in Satan's kingdom. We live in the underworld. We live in the land of the bottom feeder. And because most people have never had a reference point outside of that, they think that this is normal. But I'm here to tell you that this is not normal. This is a nightmare. Here he goes again. There's Serpent spreading fear. No, I'm not. I'm not spreading fear at all. I just know what's in store for us, guys. And I can assure you that it's about 1,000,000 times. What is going on with my white balance? It's about 1,000,000 times better than what we're currently doing here in this earth realm, this dimension. Man. So there is a malevolent force here that's steering humanity in the wrong direction. And more people have become privy to it. And more people are questioning it all. And they're going, enough's enough. We want change. And change is coming, guys. I can assure you that. Assure you of that. So, man, it's like you've got to get your head out of your ass and you've got to get back on track, right? And that really starts with a valid a morning routine. If you want to get back on track with yourself, you got to have a morning routine or whenever you wake up. I'm nocturnal, so my schedule is a little bit different than most people's, but when you wake up, you've got to have a routine, guys. And that routine needs to ensure power. And what is power? Well, power, you guys, starts with health. You've got to get healthy. You've got to drop the bullshit. So starting your day off, for instance, this is what I do. I start my day off with shungite water. I restructure my water with shungite, and when I wake up, I drink about, 6 to 15 ounces. Probably around 10, to be honest. And I hydrate myself with the restructured shungite water. And then after about an hour or so, after I've rehydrated myself, because you're always really thirsty in the morning, I then take in my caffeine. I take in coffee. Sometimes I'll take anhydrous caffeine pills, etc. But I take in my caffeine, and more often than not, I ingest my caffeine with a broad or a wide spectrum, if you will, of herbaceuticals, nutraceuticals, nootropics, supplements, etc. Okay, my white balance. I must have it on auto. Of course. And I don't think I can change that while I'm shooting. But I have an energy drink that I pretty much have drank for fucking, I don't know how many years. And it's a homemade energy drink. If you want to learn that, you guys go over to my Instagram page and check it out. I'm also going to share that recipe on my blog on the .com, serpentsource.com. So keep an eye out for the launch date for that. There's going to be all sorts of recipes, etc. But the energy drink that I consume contains red Panax ginseng. It contains sometimes creatine monohydrate, guarana, Robusta coffee, a specific type of coffee. I think it's called Robusta. That's what I've been drinking lately, at least. It's really strong, high caffeine content. I'll put citrulline and arginine in my energy drink. Just go check out the Instagram recipe. And I'll probably do a recipe video in the future showing you guys exactly how I make this, because if you start your day off like this, you guys, with ingesting the things that I've meticulously put in my drink over the years through trial and error, it will amp you up in a way that you've probably never been amped up before. The body is dying for valid nutrition, for valid supplementation. And here's the thing, guys, before we continue, I just want to say that in a crazy synthetic, bastardized, Archon-riddled fucking pig pen, land of the bottom feeder underworld that we live in, you've got to have some form of supplementation. It's not negotiable. You are never going to be able to get everything that your body and your mind needs from the system's garbage fucking trough. You see, the Matrix is responsible for providing pretty much every single iota of food that you put into your mouth. Most people do not grow their own food. They are heavily dependent on the system. So to some extent, like, I'm against the overarching agenda of the Matrix because it is dehumanizing, but at the same time, it keeps everybody alive. They provide all the power to run electricity to your home. I mean, unless you're on solar or some other regenerative form of power, guys, they keep things going. They keep the lights on. They provide all the food for the most part. All the grain, the corn, the soy, all the crap. All the medication and OTC stuff that you can get at the local supermarket. So I try to keep my head firmly rooted in truth and realize that, okay, yeah, the food's been stripped of all this nourishment, minerals, etc. But at the same time, without the Matrix, most people would perish. There'd be looting, there'd be rioting, people would be stealing from one another due to hunger. People act insane in times of turmoil. There is a delicate thread holding most people's sanity together. And proof of this, you guys, is look at what happens when there's a big storm that knocks out power, or like when in Florida when there's weather catastrophes, etc. When the grid goes down, when the power goes out, people start behaving fucking crazy. They steal from one another. They kill one another. It's just a disaster. Humans are an absolute fucking disaster here in 2025. We are in a state of spiritual. There's certain words I can't use here. But let's just say, you guys, that we are not exhibiting what God's given intelligence. We're not tapping into that, you guys. We could be at such a more advanced stage in our evolution as humans. But let me just get back on track here and say that, there goes my white balance again. You're never going to be able to get the adequate nourishment that your body and your mind actually needs here in this world without growing your own food in soils that like the soil's got to be rich in microbes and enzymes, etc. So that's a whole nother beast to try to conquer, because that's a video for the future. I'm not going to rant about that right now. All I'm trying to say is that in today's synthetic bullshit ass matrix kingdom, this land of the bottom feeder, supplementation is essential so that you can give your tissues, your body, your cells, your mitochondria, your brain, things, building blocks, raw materials that it can use so that it can rebuild itself properly or even fucking function properly. So that's why I have that energy drink that I have mentioned a few times in this video. It's designed to flood the body with things that can turn it gives, not only does it give you energy, but it gives you brain power. Panax ginseng helps facilitate proper communication between all the parts of the brain. Many people notice that when they start taking Panax ginseng, they notice that they have better balance, right? They notice that they have less anxiety. They notice that they have way more energy. And again, Panax ginseng helps facilitate better communication between the hemispheres of the brain. It helps everything work better. And that's just one of a handful of constituents that are in that drink, right? Another thing that goes in the drink is guarana seed. Either the extract or just ground up guarana seeds. I've had success with both. Swanson Vitamins, sells a cheap full spectrum guarana seed. It's just raw seeds ground into a powder. That works surprisingly well for energy, for mental clarity, for just feeling better in general, you guys. Some of you guys feel like shit because you're completely malnourished. You've never really given yourself what you actually need. And once you start putting the things back into your system that you need, things start to fucking work better. Imagine that. Imagine that. Like, you can't circumvent, you can't cheat malnourishment. You just can't. So that's the first step that you start taking. Well, actually, the first step that you start taking if you want to get truly healthy is you clean up your water supply and you start putting things into your system that can benefit you. And a morning routine is a great way to start that. You start your day off with power. So if you drink coffee, make it with distilled water or filtered water. Put into that coffee things such as, but not limited to, you could put coconut oil in it for the healthy fats. Coconut oil is full of lauric acid. It's great for the brain. Your brain needs healthy fats. And that's one of the reasons why they have this fucking high carb, low fat diet, you guys. The high carb, low fat diet has done nothing but make people fatter. People think that if you eat fat, you're going to get fat. No, if you eat carbs in excess, you're going to get fat. And that's what the high carb, low fat diet has done to the United States. It's made us the fattest nation in the world. The high carb, low fat diet is absolute bullshit. Unless you're like a professional athlete or a cyclist who can burn through all of those carbohydrates. All carbohydrates break down to circulating sugar in your body. Like how have we been led astray this royally by the so-called experts? It's the experts telling us to eat like this, guys. The experts are not experts. When are you going to get that through your head? When is the average American going to get that through their head? The experts are not experts. What have the experts done that is expert-like? What type of results have you seen as a byproduct of following the expert's advice? Now, obviously, I'm not talking about every quote expert being an idiot, essentially. But my God, guys, I mean, read between the lines. It's pretty obvious what's fucking going on here. But you could put coconut oil in your I suggest drinking black coffee. You could put coconut oil if you're going to drink coffee. You could put coconut oil in your coffee. You could do what I like to do and put a little bit of tallow in your coffee. If you start your day off with healthy fats, you guys, you'd be surprised at how much better you might feel. MCT oil, medium chain triglycerides from coconut oil. It's the form of distilled coconut oil, is a very good thing to put into your system first thing in the day. Now, I often fast until dinner, but there are times where I will intentionally ingest fat in the morning for periods of time throughout the year, whether that be a month or even 3 months at a time. I put a massive emphasis in what I put into my system first thing in the morning, which again, like I said, restructured water. Sometimes I'll put a little bit of fulvic acid or some ionic magnesium or boron in my water. There's a handful of things that I'll put in my water. But I always try to hydrate myself before I put the caffeine into my system. You want to prime yourself. The body, first thing in the morning, is usually it's dehydrated. It wants liquid. It wants water. And if you restructure water with shungite, your body will be able to assimilate that water 10,000-fold more effectively. But the energy drink, you guys, you know what? Let me just look up my energy drink for you. I got my phone here. Bear with me, guys. Let's turn the volume down. Let me just open this for you. Maybe I'll put my energy drink recipe in the description box. In fact, I probably will. Here it is. It's right here. It says, I have consumed this homemade energy drink every morning for many years, as well as modified variants of the original formula. Although I currently ingest a variant of the recipe I'm sharing, the spine of the formula, Panax ginseng, guarana, and caffeine, remains the same. My current formula is very elaborate and contains a handful of unique substances, some of which are now very hard to obtain. Maybe in the future I will share the recipe. For now, I will discuss the basic formula. Guarana and ginseng have become powerful allies of mine over the years, providing noticeable cognitive enhancement and elevated energy levels. Imagine that. You can feel these plants when you take them. Again, you can feel them. Guarana pairs well with Asian ginseng, and the two work together with powerful synergy. You will find guarana in many store-bought energy drinks, as well as Panax ginseng. Typical energy drinks are garbage. Make your own. Here is the recipe. Into a large mug or cup, add ice-cold refrigerated black coffee. I find that the colder the coffee, the better it tastes. Alternatively, you could use green tea, or if you don't consume caffeine, you can use water. Add 100 to 200 milligrams of shilajit resin. Allow to fully dissolve. Add 500 to 1200 milligrams Panax ginseng extract. I prefer the Imperial Elixir liquid extract in glass vials. Again, that's the Imperial Elixir brand. It comes in a blue box. My favorite red ginseng extract that's cheap. There's other forms of ginseng that that are far more expensive that I love, but most of the time I can't afford them. Every once in a while, if I get lucky and come into some extra coin, I might buy a $100 to $300 tub of a specific type of ginseng. But for the most part, I just take the move the boom arm. I use just Imperial Elixir. It's my favorite. It's 1,200 milligrams of Panax ginseng extract, I believe, in that particular brand. Okay, add 1 capsule of high-quality guarana extract or powder from 2 to 3 capsules of non-extract raw ground guarana seeds. If you've never done this before, you might want to start off with 1 capsule, a quarter capsule, or a half a capsule. Now, I have a tolerance to this stuff because I ingest it all the time, but for someone just starting out, be careful. Always start with the lowest dose possible. Again, add 1 capsule of high-quality guarana extract or the powder from 2 to 3 capsules of non-extract raw ground guarana seeds. I am currently taking a break from extract and I'm using ground guarana seeds exclusively, and I'm using the Swanson stuff, is like I mentioned earlier. It's just raw ground seed. Add 1 to 3 grams of L-citrulline, the amino acid, and 1 to 3 grams of L-arginine, the amino acid, in powdered form. Optional, 3 to 5 grams of creatine monohydrate. Although I don't suggest mixing all of the ingredients into your drink, although I don't suggest mixing all of the following ingredients into your drink, here are a few compounds that pair well with the basic energy drink formula. Bamboo extract, tyrosine, agmatine sulfate, huperzine, also known as Huperzia serrata. Flower essences, something that I take daily. Magnesium glycinate, vinpocetine, centrophenoxine, phosphatidylserine, MCT, taurine, a good quality mushroom complex for cognition, carnitine, and many others. You will find that the recipe shared here kicks like a mule and provides insane levels of energy and focus. So, anyways, you guys, we're about 40 minutes into this. I'm going to start wrapping this up. I've got to take the cats out, and it's got a pretty busy day today, and my battery's almost dead, but you're going to also, if you want to follow my work, you need to tap into the research of Masaru Emoto and use it to your benefit. On most vessels that I drink out of, I inscribe them with certain glyphs and magical symbols. You're going to want to start doing that. Essentially, what I try to promote on this channel is you taking all the, quote, ordinary and morphing it into the non-ordinary. Push everything to the limit, you guys. Stop settling for mediocrity and climb up the ladder, right? We can all be evolving daily in multiple different ways. But until next time, you guys, I'm going to get going. I've got a couple of packages showing up today. John, the patron saint of the Sacred Serpent YouTube channel, has sent a few more parcels. We're going to do an unboxing video, maybe a couple of them. And FedEx is actually out for delivery today. So I want to catch them because for some weird reason, it's all only FedEx. They have issues finding this place. So I'm going to get going, you guys. Get active with your health. And until next time, peace be with you all. You can directly experience the acquisition of your lost power. Your senses will open up and you'll be able to understand more of what the Matrix is trying to convince you and hoodwink you into doing so that you lose your soul as a byproduct. Catch my drift? It's called participation. You don't have to participate with this nonsense. And you can get to the point where you've established a state of health that's beyond what the system's norm of health is. I'm talking about power. I'm talking about ether. I'm talking about fire. Kundalini, folks. This is what they want to stop. Don't you see that? Aren't you paying attention? I hope so. Or are you like millions of these lost souls that are on the earth plantation as slaves? This is a broken system and it's designed this way intentionally. This is a test. Do you not see that? Your heart is being weighed on the scales of Ma'at. Do you not see that? Do you not sense it? Do you not feel it deep within your bones, within your blood? Do you not have a genetic memory of this? You know, you're a lot more aware of what's going on than you give yourself credit for, but you've lulled yourself into a state of slumber, and your day-to-day consciousness now resembles a deep unconscious sleep. There's no lucidity. Getting healthy requires you to become lucid. It takes action.
lucidity requires action, because once you become lucid to the truth, you're at a fork in the road, aren't you? You either keep going down the current or you swim up current. Swimming up current takes effort. Builds your muscles, though. You see, the easy path is for the sheep. They're floating down the river. All this nonsense, guys, it's subtle poison. Subtle fucking poison. They're modifying our genetics. They're changing the way our body works. And they're giving us a massive inundation of smart devices that make our life convenient. But these smart devices, as they evolve, you guys, they get more and more weaponized, and before you know it, everything on your phone will be able to be implanted into you. And I know that sounds very science fiction, but that's the future, you guys. That's what all the bigwigs are talking about. That is the aspirations of these insane fucking oligarchs that are running the show from behind the scenes. This is insanity. This is absolute insanity, and I have no more patience for the sheep. These people are destined, wired, whatever you want to call it, for their own destruction. They participate with it, and they love it. And they will fight, kick, and scream to defend the status quo.